Okay, finally we are here. This is a question I get asked like a million times a week. Brian, how to store cigars? What do I do? Should I get a desktop humidor? Should I leave them in the bag? So we are finally here. If you can edit that in there. I'm so happy that we're finally here because now I don't even have to type back to the question. I'm just going to send you this link, okay? Now, this is my opinion. I do believe that I'm an authority on the subject. Why? Because I've been storing cigars in the largest quantities, larger than most, in the tens of thousands, to the smallest of quantities, just 3. And I think I know what works best. And if I'm getting scientific with it, I put together a program that I think will really work for a consumer who really wants to take cigar smoking seriously, ultra seriously, and cigar storage ultra seriously. But first, these cigars have been in this package for well over probably 75 to 90 days, okay? So first thing we should check is if the Boveda is still good and if the package works like I say it does, because I truly believe that this is the most brainless way of keeping your cigars. It's the easiest, no think about it method. Just leave them in the bags. That's it. No need for any extra storage or humidor or anything like that. So here we go. Okay, we've got, oh yeah, okay. So we got our 69 bag, 69 dude. And and that is still nice and juicy and plump. Oh yeah, okay. When they're dry and you drop them on the counter like that, they go crack. Okay, this, I don't know if you guys can see that, but this is what it's all about. This is why this metal kind of insulation is the reason why this bag is so incredible. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I want to gauge perfect humidity in a cigar, and I'm going to use this thing that I bought called the Humidity Meter. Okay, patent pending from Cigar Medics. Shout out to them. They didn't give me this. I bought it on my own. I reached out to them. I guess they didn't think it would be a good idea to partner with us. So this is what we got going on. So I'm going to use this. Now, I do want to preface this by saying, and this is why I'm glad that they're not a sponsor of ours, that I don't think that this is exactly accurate all the time. In other words, I think when you first put it into a cigar, it reads a pretty high rating, and then it starts to drop and drop and drop. I usually take the second rating, okay? So you're going to want to get close for this. All right, so I'm just turning this on here, okay? And what we're doing here is we're gauging what a cigar that's been humidified for 90 days in the perfect situation is going to read like, okay? And so I'm putting these, I know some of you would kill for this cigar. We went up to 70, and then we went to 65. Okay, 64. So you see, it'll keep coming down, but 65, 64. So what this tells me is, stored in perfect temperature with perfect humidity in the perfect, most sealed, contained, smallest possible space that's extremely controllable, this cigar stayed about 65 on the inside. And I think that's something really important. That's what we're looking for. So we can test our other methods, right? And see what those methods, oh boy. We'll see what those methods yield as far as results go, okay? Because it's very important. Otherwise, talking about storing cigars is just like a practice in, I don't know, discipline or something. Like, what's the point if they're not getting humidified? So we want to make sure that how we store cigars actually keeps the cigars humidified, which this does, this does, this does. So, easiest way to keep cigars humidified. Keep them in here with a Boveda. Don't ever take them out until it's time to smoke them. And make sure this stays at about 70 degrees, room temperature, 75, 68, whatever. I'm not going to get too upset about that, you know. I know some people just freaked out about 75, but honestly, like 73, room temperature, period. Whatever that means to you, as long as it's not above 75. The next easiest method, and that is the desktop humidor. And this is what everyone asks me about, when to get the desktop humidor. It's like when someone first starts getting into cigars, it's a rite of passage to get that first desktop humidor. And after you use it for a while, you realize, I didn't really need this desktop humidor. It's more for looks, in my opinion, but I'm gonna show you how to properly use your desktop humidor, okay, to kind of create this system if you really want to get hardcore and scientific, okay? So this is the desktop humidor. You drop a Boveda in there. Notice, I get rid of the things that are supposed to go here, the gauge. I don't care. This is all you need. Worry-free. Still plump, still humidified. You're supposed to season this when you get this, meaning you get like an 80 bag from Boveda, and I think you keep it in there for like a week. I'm sure Rob Gagne will tell you how to season a humidor, but basically you get the wood kind of nice and moist, and then you put your cigars in there with a 69 or 72 or whatever you prefer. Now, again, we got to make sure that this works, right? So let's take this cigar, the Death Bucket from room 101, okay? And let's see. 62. I'm not mad at 62. Let's check a couple other cigars maybe. 63, 62. Okay, now see, it keeps dropping like that. That's the only thing I don't like about this Humidity Meter. And I think it'll go back up over time, but let's do it again, okay? And let's see on this cigar. 71, 68, 67, okay? And then let's try one more time just to be safe, okay? Oh, you know what this is, the banker. Okay, 66%. Then it drops to 61. Let's just do one more just to be safe, okay? 68, 62. So everything in here has been somewhere between 62 and 67. All right, and again, those are optimal. Anything over 60 inside on the interior, I'm fine to smoke that. I really am. I think perfect for me seems to be about 62, 63, 61. Anything between 60 and 65. So as long as I'm getting over 60 on the inside of the cigar, I'm very happy with that. Most industry insiders, these are people that actually make cigars for a living. Half of them don't, I hate to say it, but they don't humidify their cigars. They leave them on their desk, in their car, they're traveling with them. They just don't care. Some of these people say that they smoke better when they're dry. I like to have a humidified cigar, and I know you do too, okay? And that's why I chose the packaging for Privada. But all I'm saying is, I think we got out of the Privada bag like 67, and in the desktop humidor, we got like, we'll call it an average of 63, 64, okay? So that's what you're getting out of this. Now, had I seasoned this more recently, I might be able to get a little bit of a higher rating, but again, as long as I'm over 61, 60, I'm happy. And this does its thing, okay? All right, so I'm here with the mother of all storage vessels, okay, for large quantities of cigars. This is after your desktop. You don't want to buy a big humidor? Okay, don't. You don't want to buy a coolador? Okay, don't. Hey, Jeremy Cyrus uses a coolador. Absolutely loves it. I've heard some horror stories about them, but I think they've worked a lot of those kinks out in the last few years. Jeremy has no problems with it, and he loves it. Brian Glynn uses a huge coolador. I mean, it's basically a coolador. You got to watch his video on it. It's the size of a fridge. It's amazing. I've seen it in person. He uses it religiously, like loves that thing, and it's beautiful. I couldn't go that route because I need to store. These things come in boxes. I get 10,000 cigars at a time, 5,000 cigars at a time. So they come in boxes. So this is how I store for the club before they go in the bag. All right, and so this is one of my, what I call retirement coolers. This is for when I grow old and retire. I will dig into these every evening, okay? And so let's see how well this does. I think I have 2 or 3 69 Bovedas in here. I usually put 3 or 4 for the club. But let's see how it goes. Now, I like Coleman, and the reason why I like Coleman is because their stuff has no odor. All right, it comes in, I wipe it down, it's got no odor, it's really odorless. So once I get a couple of wood boxes in there, it just starts to smell like wood and cigars, which is perfect. And then over here, you can see I'm at 67, 74. It is a little hot, and we drag this outside in here. I would be willing to bet, well, I don't have to bet. It's the lowest it's been is 72, and yeah, so 72 I'm completely happy with. This is for my long-term storage. Here's a cigar that's been in here probably a year. And let's see how we do. Again, anything over 60, I'm happy, especially for long-term storage. And I want to talk to you about that. 66. Okay, great. So, I mean, it's working. So are you seeing some sort of a trend here, repeatable results? Boveda in storage spaces will keep your cigars somewhere between 62 and 69, what they're supposed to, okay? Now, if you want to use the 72, it'll bring it higher than that, okay? I just wanted to go over all that with you and show you that each one of these methods actually works. Now, there are some people that get so crazy about this that the desktop humidor results, they probably wouldn't be happy with those. So you might have to bump that up to a 72 in your desktop humidor. Now, I do not like my cigars overly humidified, and I live in Florida. It's humid. I mean, don't get me started. So I don't want my cigars too humid. In fact, I would almost go down to a 65 if I wasn't dealing with other people, if it was just me. And I also want to say something about long-term storage. You do not want to store for aging or long-term at too high a humidity, okay? In fact, I should probably go down to 65s for the big coolers because you can get mold eventually that way, all right? And you just don't want cigars wet, you know, that humid for years and years and years. Clark read a book from a guy who like really scientifically got into this, and he was talking about aging cigars at around 60, okay? So, and also at temperatures much lower than what we recommend, like in the kind of like basement material, kind of basement, you know, cool 55, 60, something like that, 62. And then also same thing on the humidity, like a much lower level than what we typically store cigars at currently. So I just wanted to show you that all of these methods work. I wanted to show you what all of these methods were good for. And now I'm gonna show you how I would tie all of these methods together to both long-term store, soon smoke, and then eventually smoke, okay? That's how we're gonna do this. And that's the only way you should store. Either you're storing them long-term, or you're about to smoke them like in the next week or two, or you're about to smoke them like tomorrow. Okay, so here we are one last time, okay? And I'm gonna show you how all of this comes together, okay? Now, you can't afford a desktop humidor. You don't wanna spend your money on a desktop humidor. Great option. I should have some of these in the shop at some point, but we're shipping all of our bags eventually in these, or at least 2-gallon Ziploc bags, okay? With ours will have a little Boveda in it because these are very expensive to keep, you know, doing every time someone buys a box. But I'll probably have these exact bags. I like the gauge of the plastic. It's a thick plastic, and Boveda says that it's good for up to 6 months. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And I'll also probably sell them in the shop too, so you can do that. Desktop humidor also, to me, I'm gonna say similar in regards to the amount of cigars they're gonna hold and what I would use them for. Okay, so you learned about desktop humidor, you learned about the cooler, and you learned about this storage bag that comes with your Privada monthly shipment, which is amazing. Okay, it's one of the reasons why our cigars taste so good. I'll leave it at that. Now, long-term storage. I get my cigars, let's say I buy a couple boxes of things, okay? And I got them and I take a couple out of each box and then I put them in my long-term storage in my cooler, all right? That's gonna be with the 69, maybe 65, depending on how long they're gonna be in there. That's my preference. You can go higher if you'd like. All right, now, let's say they're in there for, I don't know, 6 months. And I say to myself, you know, I really want to smoke one of those cigars that I bought 6 months ago in the boxes and left them in my cooler to age. And so I walk over to that cooler and I pull out the amount of cigars I think I'm going to want to smoke, maybe one from each box. I'm going to want to get to these in the next couple of weeks. And I would take those then and put them either in this bag or in this desktop humidor with 69 Boveda. Okay. Now, I'm pretty sure it's Thursday. Friday's gonna be, I almost said lit. That's just the dumbest thing in the world. Friday's gonna be on and pop. I don't know what slang term to use for Friday, but Friday's gonna be TGIF. All right, let's just go there. All right, so I'm gonna take my cigar out of here or out of here, and I'm gonna put them back in here. Why did I do that? Because the smaller the space, the more controlled the environment, the better your cigars will humidify. It's that simple, okay? So, big cooler, sealed, extra Boveda inside, long-term storing. Desktop humidor, or big bag with a bunch of cigars and a nice big pack of Boveda in there. Midterm, this is 30 days, 45 days, 20 days, 15 days, 10 days, something like that, okay? And then I go to the bag. Why do I go to the bag? Because it's the most controlled, it's the smallest environment, and I know that they're going to get humidified properly, as you saw in that. So, in the end, if you're not storing large amounts of cigars, why buy anything? Just use your bags. My work here is done. No, but that's it. That's my storage method. It works for me. As you can see, everything we plugged was well into the 60s. Some a little more than less, and that is as humid as I'd like a cigar to be when I smoke them. Anything starting to approach 70 or better, to me, can have burn issues. It's a little too humid for me. I also live in a very humid place, so when I pull it out, you know, I might be smoking in 90 degree humidity. You know, if you live in Arizona, maybe, you know, go a little bit higher. But that is how to store a cigar by Privada Cigar Club. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all of your support. I appreciate every single one of you, and I look forward to making history with you guys. Peace.